Still waiting. Well, hello there, faithful listeners, beautiful wife of mine. How are
He's
you?
like, he's like, who's going to do the intro this week? And I'm like, oh, you can do it. Immediately regrets it.
Hey, listen, sometimes life doesn't go exactly the way you planned,
hmm
but here we are.
hmm
Anyway, and who are we? I'm Justin DeWeese. That's my beautiful wife, Ashley DeWeese. And we are the hosts of this wonderful adventure called the Life Unfiltered podcast. And dang it, we're glad you're here.
Stoked, beyond stoked. I really mean that.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Just for, if you don't really know us that well yet, I tend to be a little sarcastic. So I just wanted to clear that up. I really do mean that. I'm
Oh, was that
stoked.
sarcasm?
I don't know.
You gotta work on your delivery, kid.
Okay.
So how you been?
I'm good. I am feeling much better than I was the last time we sat down and did this. So
I mean, that's
re-
good.
recovering nicely. I tell everyone when they're like, "Hey, how's it going?" I'm like, "Well, other than night 2 where I felt like I was literally going to die 3 different times, it's been nothing but up from there." So,
Well, that's good.
thankful, grateful, ready to be back 100% myself. I haven't worked out in I don't know how many days to be exact, but we're going on
It's
close
been a
to 2.
stretch.
It's been close to 2 weeks. It's actually the longest. It's the longest stretch I've ever gone in 8.5 years without working out.
I mean, listen, if you say something like add the 8.5 years on there, can you really say it's the longest I've ever gone? Like, isn't that like bad English?
Okay, so it's not the
I'm
longest.
just saying.
Now you just confused me. Look,
See how that works,
I've been
folks?
working out consistently for 8.5 years, and in
Right.
that eight
And
and
in
a
that
half
time,
years,
there
in
you
that eight and a
go.
half
Look at you.
years,
Look
this
at
is the
you.
longest stretch that I've ever gone. And honestly, I feel like I've handled it fairly well.
You have. There have been a couple moments of grump,
There have. I
but
think it's just one of those things, right? That once you make a decision to like live a healthy lifestyle, there's just parts of that routine that you come to love and you really come to recognize the benefits of. And so for me, um, I I actually like working out. Even on the days that I don't like working out. I like working out because it just helps me clear my mind. I feel like I've accomplished something first thing in the morning. And so when you're not doing that, it kind of suckety
well,
sucks.
and so this is one of those things that, like, obviously, this is about working out right now, this little tidbit. But when you think about it, like, it's really applicable to like everything, right?
Yeah.
Those things that you don't want to do, but need to be doing. Like, you sometimes you get in front of them and you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. Oh, I don't want to pay bills. Oh, I don't want to
Right.
have that conversation with my daughter. Oh, I don't want to go to this meeting at school. Oh, whatever, right? But then once you do it on the backside, you actually feel good about having done it.
Right. And like it's also one of those things like you don't know what you got till it's gone type thing, right? Um,
True.
you
Well, and
certainly when you have the ability to do the things, you can find yourself complaining about said things. And then when you it's taken away from you, right? Like you don't have the choice but to not do the things, then it's like, well, wait a minute.
that kind of, so I came across something this morning where this guy, he goes, man, so often I forget how rich I am.
Yeah.
And he said, I can go, I can get hot water from my tap right now. I can go to the grocery store and acquire whatever it is I want to eat for lunch. I can, and it's a bunch of little, like, mundane, like, everyday type things, right? That, to
hmm
your point, like, we can end up taking those for granted because they're just always there.
Right. Well, and I think that's part of just, as we talk about, we're health and wellness people, we're personal growth people. So you're gonna get a dose of that on every single episode, no matter what it is we're talking about. But I think that's part of like the growth journey, right? Is uh, too often there's this sentiment out there of like, hey, people who are on a health and fitness journey, or they're on a personal growth journey, or they want more in their life. Like they're just unsettled and unhappy with the way that their life is now. And I think the sweet spot of all of it is being able to have that vision for more and be on the pursuit of becoming, your highest self and your best lived self, while at the same time being able to look at life in front of you and find the things that you're grateful for, that you appreciate, that you're so thankful for. Because again, like you and I have had this conversation quite a bit, that the life that we're living right now, like as far as like who we are as people, our family, the home that we live, the town that we live in, our careers, that type of thing. Like if this were to be as good as it gets for us, we're pretty darn blessed,
That'd be pretty okay.
but at the same time, we also have
Right.
grander visions. And I think, like I said, I think that's the sweet spot, that when you can get to that place, and don't get me wrong, we definitely need reminded at times of the blessings that we have in our current life, me in particular. But yeah, when you can get to that point where you can be like, hey, like there's so many great things in my life that I'm so thankful for and I love, and all of that jazz, while at the same time still being able to hold on to that vision for, what else is possible. I think that's just like a really great place to be. So,
So that makes me think of two things. Number one, the power of starting your day with gratitude.
mm,
Right. And I'm inconsistent at this. I
yeah.
definitely need to do better. Right. But just when you first wake up, thinking, preferably writing down 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for every day. And just starting your day with that mindset will have a powerful impact through the rest of your day. Because to your point, like, and what we've been talking about, there are so many things that are little, but they mean so much to our overall happiness and life, right? But we
Right.
often can look right over them unless we focus our effort and like actually exhibit gratitude for that, right? So
And
that's
it
number
is
one.
like focused effort. I want to pause on that for a minute. It almost seems like in the world, like we're constantly trying to run away from the work, like
Oh
the
yeah.
effort. Like we're trying to look for ways that we have to put in the least amount of work to get the things in life that we want. And really, like it's in the work where the magic lies, as much as I hate saying that. It's in the work where the magic lies. But yeah, it takes intentional effort and focus to move your mind to a place of usefulness, to a place of helpful thoughts and gratitude. And that just made me think that, because I haven't necessarily reflected on this to this point, but with this recovery, if you haven't listened to last week's episode, go listen to last week's episode.
Go
But
listen to it right now.
yeah, and then come back. But I had an appendectomy. But I do believe that that has helped me in this recovery process, because I truly have not woken up every day going, man, here goes another day that I can't work out, or here goes another day that I gotta freaking, rest and lay on the couch, or I can't do this, or I can't do this. Honestly, like as I sit here and think about it, um, I I consciously did not take that approach. Like I have had more thoughts of, I'm actually glad that this is forcing me to slow down. This is kind of nice to, just be okay, to be at peace with this is what the process is right now. And that certainly helped me move through this, because I know at other times in life where it's maybe not been as long for me not working out and things like that, I've been grouchy and whatever about it. And so, yeah, like it's intentional effort. Like I've had a choice. I always have a choice, but speaking of this week, like I've had a choice during this past week of recovery of how I wanted to approach moving through these days. And thankfully, I've chosen thoughts and perspectives that lift me up and are beneficial, and not just looking at the suckiness of it.
No, no. And that's awesome. And if I can just little break between my 2 points I was trying to make, just recognize you and acknowledge you. Um, you have been a much better patient through all of
Oh,
this than I thought you would be.
thanks.
Well, let's not get carried away
Look,
with too far.
he was anticipating me being not a very
Hey,
good statement.
listen, past history is a pretty good indicator of future performance.
It is, but also something out not to take away your stage with your 2 points. We'll get to that
Oh, it's all
second
right.
point. But that's something else that I know I've learned. There's also a delicate balance in being able to utilize your past experiences to help prepare you for current and future
Of course,
experiences,
of course.
but also being open to the possibility of experiences going differently, right? Because like let's think about it. This freaking chair. Like, do you see me getting lower and lower? Like, just every
No,
so often
I'm
it goes boop,
listen, that's
boop.
that's been our life over the last couple of years. You're just getting shorter and shorter. It is what it is.
I thought you were gonna say I just getting lower and lower. Um,
Well, on good days.
um, no, but if not careful, we allow like what's happened in the past. Like, so if you've taken like how I've been in the past, perhaps with illness or things like this, and you started treating me accordingly, like that just again, like it just spirals into
Of
something.
course.
Again, that's a conversation for another day on here. But I'm just saying, like, it's you got to find a balance between the two, right? Using it to like prepare you and help you, but also realizing it could go drastically differently, which it has. So thank
It
you.
has.
Thank
Bless
you.
up.
Second
So my
point.
first point was gratitude, right?
Yes.
And the power of gratitude. The second one was I had read something, I don't know, last week sometime, and the guy was saying that the key to happiness in life is growth and contribution.
Mm.
And that if you are growing as a person and then finding a way to contribute positively to others, society, however you want to define that, that's you'll find happiness and fulfillment, right? And there's always a lot of talk of like, well, I don't feel fulfilled in my job and I don't feel fulfilled in my relationship and this and that and the other thing, right? Well,
You're
in
probably
order to have
focused.
those things, you have to have growth and contribution, right? If we want to feel fulfillment in our relationship, you and I, we need to have growth. We need to be growing together as a couple. We need to be doing things to challenge and serve each other, which also kind of ties into the contribution, right? We need to be contributing to each other. We need to be contributing to the relationship as a whole. And if you're not doing those things, I'm not surprised that you feel that way in your relationship.
Well, or anything, right? Like what you're getting at here is this idea of there's got to be something greater than you. Like
Right.
with everything that we do, there has to be something greater than you. And we live in a very like me society right now. I mean, like let's
Yes.
be honest, like it's very self-focused. And don't get me wrong, like I'm not saying like we can't focus on self. It's what we talk about a lot, like focusing on your mental health and your physical health, and it's okay to take care of you and take time away from your family or your spouse to do these things. But like there's a difference between, working on your personal growth for you to become better. I mean, the way that I always talk about it with my clients is, yes, this is about you and your needs being fulfilled and you becoming the best version of you. But the thing is that when you become this better version of you, and again, break it down into little categories if you want. When you become a healthier you, when you become a more fulfilled you, when you become better at this particular skill at your job, it's not just impacting you, like it's actually going to allow you to serve the people in your life at a higher level as well. But when
Right.
when you're solely focused on doing things for yourself and your own needs and nothing else beyond that, you're going to feel empty. And if there's nothing pulling you, if there's nothing greater than yourself pulling you, you're gonna find yourself in a place of lack.
Well, right. And that's why I like that two sides of that framework, right? Because you have that growth, right? So me focusing on self growth, but adding the contribution. What
Mhm.
am I contributing to outside of myself? That's what leads to happiness and fulfillment.
Well, yeah, that's kind of like in our we're not recording this on our normal day, you guys. We're just all kind of mixed up
Deal
in
with it,
things.
haters.
But in our church service today, the whole focus of the sermon was about serving and moving outside of yourself to serve others. And as you
Right.
said, like that is where the greatest fulfillment and whatever is going to come from. And you know, one of the things that pops up with my clients when I initially start talking to them about this concept of, you know, the bigger purpose and serving and outside of yourself, some people are hesitant to that. Um, you know, some people kind of like throw up their hands of like I don't have a heart to serve. Like I don't, you know, and I think we create these like stories in our head of like what that looks like, right?
Right.
And
Right.
for many people, I think visions of like, oh, going and creating like mass movements with people and all these big, and for some people that's what it's going to look like, but like thinking of things greater than yourself can simply also be like within your own home. Like how can I serve, going back to relationship thing, like how can I think about my husband today? How can I serve him in a way that is, you know, doing something for him that will help him, that will make him feel good, that will place the focus on him and that it's not just about me. Um, I'm trying to decide if I want to share an example or not.
I'm pretty sure I know what example you're thinking of, and I think maybe not.
I think you probably are. Anyways, I'm just I don't, and sometimes I'm like, should we just do a whole episode on this or like what? But no, like for example, I got in the shower this morning. It's life unfiltered, right? No,
The
but
spicy life unfiltered.
I got in the shower this morning, getting ready for church for the day or whatever. Um, by the time you were coming into the shower, I was done. Like, I mean, I had finished all my things and it was time for me to
Right.
step out, right? And I was going to like get out of the shower, right? Because you were going to get in and get ready and whatnot. But in this, does your brain like I feel like sometimes something that is like a multitude of thoughts, like it goes by like that.
Oh, you
Anyways,
have no idea.
I'm sure I don't. Your brain is highly complex. But anyways, no, like quickly in my brain, like I was like, oh, he's getting in. I'm going to be getting out. I even grabbed the towel to wipe off my face.
Right.
And in that moment that felt like forever, that was only like probably about 10 seconds, I decided to put the towel down and step back into the shower with you. Um,
Hubba hubba.
yeah, I mean, you know, it's been a couple weeks, which is not the norm for us. We're pretty
Definitely not.
frequent
Bless up.
flyers when it comes to, you know, our sex life and whatnot. But it's been a couple weeks because of what was going on with me prior to going to the hospital. And then I've had this surgery and there's a recovery process and there's protocol. Um, but yeah, in that moment, I was like, I thought to myself, you know, it's been a little bit. And while I'm ready to get out and while there's, you know, not something physical in this for me in the greatest regard, right? Like, I'm like, you know what? Like, I can take advantage of this opportunity and do something for him. Um, and so we did.
And that was nice. That was
And
real nice.
again, that's an act of some people are probably like listening to this going like, whoa, like this conversation took a turn. I was thinking like helping someone out with their yard or
Well, yeah,
cooking
when it
them
comes to your
dinner.
neighbors, you should probably do stuff like that. But when it comes to your spouse, maybe a little more up close and intimate.
I'm just trying to show that it's not always like this massive thing. It's just thinking outside of yourself and how you can serve people in your life, sometimes in very seemingly small ways, as our daughter is in the background. Again, how we roll. But yeah, so I'm just trying to give an example of sometimes you put your own things aside to do something for the greater good that will then elevate everything, right?
Right.
Because I believe that that's impacted our day already in a positive way.
Well, yeah, listen, if you don't think I'm going to be in a better mood the whole rest of the day with a little shower time with the wife, come on.
Take note. people. And honestly, we will come back. We need to be writing these things down. That's problematic that I don't ever write these things down. Can you make a note of that, sir? See,
10
this
steps ahead of you.
um no, that isn't. We do need to do a specific episode on intermarital, not intermarital. What would be the word? Intermarital would be like we're involving other people.
Right. It would be intra, right? Intramarital. Don't laugh too much.
Oh my gosh, I have to tell that story. But yes, we will do an episode where we specifically talk about um marital relations that can benefit you
Note
to
made, Chief.
a greater
Let's
life.
tell that story.
Oh my gosh. So yesterday, my nose is running like ridiculously. I feel like such a
So
knob wiping my nose
yesterday,
online.
well, it's okay, right? We all have things. Yesterday, we went down to one of our favorite local establishments to get a acai
Yeah.
bowl. I don't know
Uh-huh.
if that's the way you pronounce it, but that's
Mhm.
how I'm pronouncing it. And this it's down in Aggieville, which is a little, if you're not from Manhattan or been to Manhattan, it's a little like college bar, restaurant, shop area, right? And
And we finally got like shout out to Happy Hippie. I'm just gonna say it right here. If you are local and you do not frequent Happy Hippie in Aggieville in Manhattan, Kansas, or they have a location in Clay Center, please
you're missing
go.
out.
Like you're missing out. They're amazing. I love the owners. Like it's just an amazing place all the way around. So, anyways, shout
So
out to
anyway, we're sitting there and it faces the street and we're sitting up in the window so we can see all the people walking by and whatnot. And we're having our little treats and our son is sitting closest to the window and he's looking out the window and there's these dudes that are walking in our direction. And so he's looking at them and that's all fine and dandy. But behind those gentlemen,
which he had not seen yet, but I saw and I knew it was
and
coming.
I saw behind those gentlemen is a young college girl, very slender build, and she has on a white tank top and no bra, and it was moderately chilly outside, so it was pretty obvious she did not have a bra on.
As Chevy Chase would say, it was a bit nipply outside.
Yeah, and
That
Dax,
kid's
that
like you've never seen a kid's head spin around so quickly in your life because those guys passed that he was watching and she was right there and his little head whipped back around to me and his eyeballs were like this big like did I just see what I saw? Am I supposed to be seeing? And meanwhile, this whole like appendectomy thing, I have this incision on my left side that's rather long. And if I do any kind of laughter, it feels like something is just burst open. And oh my gosh, it hurt so bad, but it was so hilarious
we
to
were
see
laughing so hard.
his little face. And look, we aren't a family who believes in like shelter. I mean, we do kind of we have boundaries with our kids, but we're also pretty open with our kids about things. And there's nothing wrong with the human body. And we're not like, oh my gosh, well, you don't look at those things. You know, you need to know what those
But
things are. You need to see. But it was just
and
so
that
funny.
it's like that Instagram meme that goes around every once in a while. I wish I had gotten a picture and a video of it because then I could have posted it and the caption would be, and that was the day Dax decided Legos weren't enough anymore.
I don't know if we're quite there yet, but it was funny. And the thing is, we didn't have to. It was just a moment. It was a moment, and we all laughed, and we all like knew and whatnot, and then we went on about our afternoon. But oh my gosh, it was so incredibly funny, so incredibly funny. So, anything else up in your neck of the woods this week? I'm trying to think if I have anything noteworthy to
No,
share or talk about.
but what I was going to say, in regards to the service side of it, right?
Yeah,
And since we brought up our kids, that's one of the things that we're always talking with them about, right? Because they're seventh and fifth grade, and as such, they're selfish little a-holes most of the time. Like it's all about like, what can I get? What can I?
yeah, me,
Oh,
me, me.
there's only one cookie left. That's mine,
Right.
right? And
Or
so
I'm
we're
gonna take my dishes to the dishwasher. Oh, will you put mine in the dishwasher? No, you can do it yourself.
me, right? And so, what we're always talking with them about, to some success, I hope, is trying to encourage them to be like, hey, what can you do
Yeah.
for your sibling before you do something for yourself? Like if you're going to take your dish over to the dishwasher after dinner, can you offer without us having to be like, hey, you're already going that way. Why don't you take their, how can you find ways to do stuff like that, to get out of yourself, to serve others, even in little ways like that?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, we talk about it
and
in terms of, and first of all, again, not perfect. We are not like these perfect,
no,
like, oh my gosh, we're always serving outside of ourselves. And we are not.
we're not.
Again, this is, we're speaking in terms of things that we really work to be in practice with more than we're not in practice with it.
Right.
Um, but no, you always speak of this in terms of like go first. And again, if you're looking for like the mega nugget of value from today's episode,
The big
it is.
nug.
Ooh, I like that. The big nug. Maybe we should have a segment that's called the big nug. Or the nug of the week. No, I like the big nug. Anyways, if you're
Yeah,
looking for
big
the
nug is
big
way better.
nug out of this episode, this would be it. And it is the idea of go first. Um, because how often are you in a situation where you're like waiting for someone else to do the thing? Right. Well, I'm waiting on him to apologize. Like we had a fight, we got mad at each other, and now the day is like whatever. And I'm waiting on him to come say he's sorry. Or I'm gonna wait on and see if he will take out the trash or any number of things. But
Right.
what would happen if instead of waiting on someone else to do the thing, what if you decided to go first? Why do you think that's such a struggle for people to
Well,
go first?
because, and I can hear all of our dear listeners' wheels turning in their heads because what you can default to thinking then is, well, I'm just going to end up doing all this stuff and they're going to take advantage of me
Yeah.
and blah, 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 blah. It's going to just go negatively and poorly for me.
Right. How will
And
they ever
sure,
learn? How will they, whoever the
right.
they is for you, your spouse, your kids, your coworkers, your friends, how will they ever learn to do it? Or how will I ever not be the one that has to go first if I go first?
And sure, for all you astracals out there, maybe that will happen, right? Maybe you decide to go first in your relationship with your spouse and that lesson never sinks in and you're just constantly going first. Maybe. More than likely, though, what's going to happen is it's going to become reciprocal because it's, and I can't for the life of me think of what
Well, you're leading by
the,
example. I mean, that's what go
right,
first is. Like you're leading by example. So it's almost like a training thing, right?
right. Well,
Like,
and the reality is that even if you go first and that other person never picks up on it and never adopts that same sort of mentality, like you're still better off.
mhm,
Like it has a positive impact
right.
on your life and mindset. So even if it never gets reciprocated, even if it never comes back your direction, it's still the right move for you.
Well, and as we've talked previously about having personal standards, and I don't think we've done like a full episode on this,
We have
like
not.
who do you want to be? What kind of person do you want to be? What standards do you have and how do you live? But yeah, like what kind of person are you? What are your standards? Like, am I someone who picks up trash when I see it on the ground and put it in its rightful place? Or am I someone that is like, well, I know that trash is not supposed to be on the ground, but like, why do I always have to be the one to do that? Like, which person am I? Because it shouldn't matter. Like everyone else's behaviors and what they're doing or not doing should not be impacting the person who I am. Like I'm either
Right.
someone that when I see something needs to be done, I take care of it or I don't. And I think we default into that whole, and if we went down the coaching pipeline of it, like there's some root issues there, right? Of like, hey, I'm waiting for someone else to do it because I want to be externally validated, or does he
Right.
really love me, or any number of things. But yeah, like just who are you? Like, are you someone that does the right thing regardless of what other people are or not doing? Or are you not? And
Right.
the hardest place to go first is in these like seemingly small, meaningless tasks. But yeah, like how, when you can think about people in your life, when you see people that like, they're always cleaning up, like at a party or something that you go to, or a social situation, like everybody knows that person that they just always are offering to like take everyone's plates. And it doesn't matter like if they're in their own home or somewhere else or
Right.
out at a restaurant, like they just do that because that's just part of who they are and part of their values and standards. And so it's like, I don't know, maybe I'm off base here, but yeah, just like the go first, and serving others just because it's the right thing to do, just because it's helpful, just because it's beneficial. And that is the difference. If you're someone that will is gonna go first in hopes that I think that's something to be clear about, is doing so without expectation of
Right.
getting something in return, because our kids will do that too. Like we started going down this process with them of like going first and then what we picked up on is they were often doing it in hopes that, because we talked to them too about like, hey, like if you just do these things sometimes, that like we'll see it, we'll recognize it, and then we'll be more apt to reward you in ways that were unexpected. So then what we saw happening is they were going first, right?
Right.
Offering to do some dishes, offering to like put their siblings' laundry away or whatever. And then when we didn't reward them, they were kind of like,
What?
well, what you said, like if I like was kinder and did more for others, like I would. So it's like giving without expectation, going first without expectation, just doing it because you're going to lead by example. Or another way of putting it is like the behaviors that you want from others or wish to see exhibited by others, are you exhibiting those behaviors? So like from a spousal perspective, like, if you would like for your mate to compliment you more, like are you offering up compliments to them?
Right.
And is it like, I was going to say bulletproof, but whatever, is it foolproof, right?
There you
like
go.
you, like you said, if I start showering you with compliments on a consistent basis, does it is it inevitable that you will, like you said, begin reciprocating that? Not necessarily, but I bet you'll see some sort. I think one of two things will happen with most guys. Now, there's some a-holes out there that maybe you just need to reevaluate your relationship, wife or husband. But I think with most men, it will either do one of two things. Either one, you will ultimately see it reciprocated by your spouse, or a conversation will come up because of it, because they'll notice at some point this increase or change in behavior of you, and they're
Right.
going to be like, hey, like you've been complimenting me an awful lot lately, why is that? And so again, it opens up the communication lines to kind of talk about some of these things. So again, like you said, either way it's beneficial to the other person and yourself at a
Yep.
minimum. So
I had an example of this today. I ducked out to the men's room right before church service started, and I took care of business, and I noticed that there was pieces of paper towel on the floor, like when people yank the thing
mhm.
out, maybe they tear a little piece off, whatever, and it was just on the floor. Um, and I stopped and I picked them up and got them into the trash. And there was no one else in the restroom. Like there was no like
No one is going to hop out and give you a gold star for
right,
doing that.
right. The leadership team of the church wasn't standing outside the men's room, give me a high five when I was done. Um, but again, it was just that was the right thing to do,
Mhm.
and so
Well,
I
because
did it.
somebody was going to have to do it, right? Somebody was going to do
Right,
it at some point. So why not you?
right. Why not
Which
you?
And that's a deeper level question, right? Why not me? Like, ask that to yourself anytime you're feeling like, that's not my job. Or, well, why not you? Like, what is it about? What is it about you that you shouldn't pick up those towels, those paper towel pieces on the floor? What is it about you that you shouldn't go first in
Right.
initiating an intimate moment with your husband in the shower or
Right.
whatnot? Just saying, go first, see what happens.
And see, now you could ask the question, like, did she do that with no sense of expectation, or did she do that so that she could talk about it on the podcast and get
Okay.
acknowledged in the comments and likes?
What is it that you say? Assume good intentions. You're
Right.
better off just assuming the good in your mate or other
Right.
people as opposed to going down this potential pipeline. I
Right.
mean, I know
So I
I could,
assume good intentions.
but honestly, I swear to goodness, like it really, hindsight, it was really kind of like this. Now, this is going to sound like I was doing it for me, but I wasn't. It really was a I'm proud of me moment. Because seriously, like it was like I was gonna step out of the shower. That's
Oh
what
no, I
I
was
don't look. I'm a former sociology teacher, and so I love looking at and studying like people's behaviors and why they do the things that they do when interacting with others, et cetera. So this is like right up my alley, even when it comes to like studying my own patterns and behaviors. But it literally like it was like I was going to step out. And
no,
it like
listen,
this flood of thoughts was like, you know what? You could just not.
I was picking up big time getting out of the shower vibes.
Mhm.
And then you didn't. I was like, well, all right.
Yeah, no, it was not a planned happening, and I wasn't doing it for any sort of self-glory, but hindsight, I'm really proud of myself because again, it was a conscious decision, a conscious decision that I made this morning to do something to serve you because I love you. And you've been
Man,
such a great home nurse for me over the last week and beyond. So
proud of you, proud of us. A banner day.
look at us growing.
Look
Would
at
you look
us.
look at us? Who would have thought?
I would have thought.
Not me. Isn't that the Paul Rudd reel?
Right.
Not
Yeah,
me. By the way, Justin went to elementary school with Paul Rudd. Just
I did.
want to throw that out there for you. He tries to claim they were like besties and whatnot. I'm like, that dude has no idea who you are.
Shout out to Ryan Benninghoven in Shawnee Mission. School of Legends, apparently.
Apparently.
And to be clear, Mr. Rudd was in sixth grade while I was in kindergarten.
So there
So
there probably wasn't a budding friendship going on at the
zero
time.
overlap.
Zero.
All the
Zero.
same, do I like to throw that out at parties and gatherings? Absolutely.
Of course he
Absolutely.
does. Of course he does. All right. Well, it is approaching the lunch hour in the
It
Deweese
is
household. So before our feral children come running out,
feral.
going feral. Is it feral? Isn't that what I
Oh,
said?
it's feral. You said feral. I was just
Okay.
reinforcing
Oh, I
that
thought
they
you were
are
trying to
indeed
say that I said
feral.
it incorrectly.
No,
Point
no.
for me for not mispronouncing.
Man, you're just racking up the points
I
today.
know. And look, I showered today. This isn't the first
No,
time I've
we've covered the
showered since
shower
surgery,
part.
but okay. I just meant I actually like showered and, did my hair and makeup and all that jazz. So, all right. It's a good one. This is a good chat. Guys, this was
This was a good
completely
chat.
this one. Sometimes we talk about it ahead of time, like, hey, what might we want to talk about today, just in general, and then we go for it. Like today, literally was
Just shooting from the hip.
we hit record and let's see what freaking happens. And I
And I
mean,
mean, we came up with some topics we're going to talk about in other podcasts. We came
right.
up with the big nug. I mean,
Sometimes you know, again, like our sermon said today, you just have to get into action. Like you just
right.
have to hands and feet, get into action,
Hit the button, see what happens.
see what happens. So see you guys next week.
We're so stop.
Oh,
You can't just
what?
end it. Listen, we're so glad that you're here. If you got some value out of this, we just ask that you share with your friends, family, loved ones, strangers on the internet. We don't care, but share it. And, like, comment, tell us what you did like, tell us what you don't like, tell us
What you want us to talk about.
right.
And again, if you're not following the Life Unfiltered show on Instagram, follow. If you're not following us, we share like all kinds of other things.
Right.
Well,
It's
Justin's
crazy
kind of in a
juicy.
social media hiatus right now, which is fine. But you can follow me over at Ashley_Deweese on Instagram or on Facebook. And,
like, comment, subscribe, and we will see
All
y'all
the
next week.
things. Bye.
All the things. I think that went pretty well. Oh, I'm the host now, Zoom told me. I did this earlier. Oh, it's not doing it now. I got a little like pop bubble come up. Pay attention to that about 8:30 in the time. Pretty dope. All right. Y'all have a great day.